everybody! I'm making a red velvet tray bake today.
I really need you to hear what I'm saying.
Here's my tray. It's 8 by 8 inches and it's quite deep. Okay, I'll say it's about 2.5 inches deep. So you need a deep tray. If it's slightly bigger, that's okay. If it's not as deep, that's absolutely fine. But we're roughly this size, 8 by 8 inches for this recipe. We're gonna start by greasing our tray. Now, if you're using a regular cake tray, then you need to grease it and line it with some grease-proof paper. If you're using a glass dish, you don't really need to line it. I just grease it, okay? So with the foil tray, I don't need to line it. I'm just gonna grease it, okay? The great thing about tray bakes is the fact that you can just leave the cake in there and then you can take it around wherever you want. So I'm just using some butter on a pastry brush and I'm just greasing my tray really well with the pastry brush. This ensures that we have clean slices, okay? Just grease all your tray, the bottom and the sides. Once you have greased your tray, you just want to put that to the side. And then you want to turn on your ovens, okay? So we're going to bake this cake low and slow once again, just so that we get a nice even flat top, okay? So it's 140 degrees fan, 160 without the fan, and gas mark 3. So once you've greased your tray and you've put your oven on, it's time to move on to the cake batter. We're going to weigh out the dry ingredients first, okay, into our bowl. So put your sieve on top of your bowl, put your scale on. So self-raising flour is the first ingredient that is going in. It's 230 grams of self-raising flour. So just put it in until you reach 230 grams into your sieve. Next ingredient we're going in with is cocoa powder. So put your scale back on 0. You're going to weigh in 20 grams of cocoa powder. Right? And then we're going to sift those into our bowl gently. Just tap it on the side of your hand to sift it into your bowl. So to that, I'm going to also add my salt. So put your scale back on 0. 2 grams of salt. Okay, so I'm just going to get a small whisk and I'm going to whisk those together until they are evenly combined. Okay, so you should end up with those dry ingredients like that, and then put that to the side. Now we're going to go ahead and weigh out our wet ingredients. So I've got a measuring jug for that. You can use another bowl if you want to. Put that on top of your scale. Put your scale on 0. So the first wet ingredient is our buttermilk. So make sure your scale is on 0. We're putting 60 grams of buttermilk. So once you've measured in your buttermilk, you're going to go ahead and add your gel food colouring. So I'm adding a tablespoon of gel food colouring. The reason why I'm adding it to the buttermilk is just so when we add our buttermilk into the cake, it will evenly distribute the colouring in there without it kind of only being concentrated in some places and not concentrated in other places, okay? The reason why we use gel colouring, there's 2 reasons. One is that it's flavourless and it won't affect the flavour of your cake. 2 is that it's highly concentrated and it doesn't affect the texture of your cake either. If you use liquid colouring, it can split your cake batter and it's not as strong, it's not as vibrant. Powder colouring sometimes leaves an aftertaste as well. So you want to go ahead and mix in your food colouring. To that, we're also going to add in a tablespoon of vanilla extract, okay? But all 4 of our eggs are going to go into here as well. Just going to get our little whisk back again and we're going to whisk the eggs in as well. So that is our wet mixture done. Now we're going to put our cake mixture together. So get your large mixing bowl, okay? This is where everything's going to come together. Put that on top of your scale. So put your scale on. We're going to weigh out our margarine and our sugar now. As usual, I'm using Stork. You can use any margarine, guys. 250 grams of margarine, okay? And again, at room temperature is best. So 250 grams. So put your scale back on 0 and then we're going to add in our sugar to that. 240 grams of sugar. So now we're going to cream our margarine and sugar together until it's nice and pale and fluffy. Scrape down the sides of the bowl. just to make sure everything is combined really well. So just do that. So our margarine and sugar has nicely become aerated. So we've creamed our margarine and our sugar. Now we're going to alternate between adding the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients to this, okay? Right, so we're going to add half of our wet ingredients, roughly, doesn't have to be exactly, half of our dry ingredients. And then we're going to mix it until it's incorporated, and then add the rest and then mix it again, okay? Okay, so that's all incorporated. So when we go in with the rest of our wet ingredients, and I'm alternating between the two just so that it mixes in more evenly. So then the rest of our wet ingredients go in, try and get everything in, and then just mix your wet in, okay, and then add your dry ingredients. And now we are adding in the rest of our dry ingredients, okay, and then put that. Let's scrape down the sides of the bowl so that everything is nice and combined in there, and then we're left with a lovely airy cake batter, okay? So but before we put it in the pan, you want to do your baking soda thing. So this enhances the color as well, and also makes the cake more airy, okay? So put your bowl on top of your scale. So your scale is on 0, 4 grams of bicarb. Then put your scale back on 0, and to your bicarb, then you want to add in 8 grams of your vinegar, okay? There we go. And then you want to mix that in quickly. It should start fizzing, so if you can hear it, okay? And all those air bubbles you want to get into your cake batter. Just give it one last final mix by hand again, and now it's ready to go into your tray. And into the tray it goes now. Okay. So you don't want to leave this batter hanging around because it's got bicarb and vinegar in there, and the vinegar's already activated the bicarb. You want to get it in the oven as soon as possible. Okay, so I'm going to put that in the oven now. So your cake will take anywhere between 50 minutes and an hour to bake. If you have a slightly bigger tray, it will take slightly less time because your butter will be spread a bit thinner. Let's do the frosting, guys. Get yourself a clean bowl for your frosting, because bowls grow on trees and you should have an abundance of them in your kitchen, especially if you love to bake. I'm just joking, guys. But yeah, I mean, if you are keen on baking, then get yourself a load of bowls. Ideally, you do want loads of bowls. So we're moving on to the frosting. Okay, so this is a cream cheese frosting, and for this it is very important that your cream cheese and your butter are at room temperature. In fact, your butter should be really soft. So I weighed out my butter beforehand and I cut it into small cubes, and this helps it come to room temperature faster, okay? And your butter should be extremely soft, so when you touch it, it should kind of like melt in your hand. Okay, that's how soft your butter should be. Your room temperature butter, it should be 150 grams of unsalted butter. That is going to go into my mixing bowl. We're going to now beat our butter until it's nice and soft, okay, and smooth. Just a couple of minutes. So beat your butter until it's nice and smooth. Once you beat it, it should be nice and smooth, just like that, okay? Get yourself your scale and another bowl. So the same amount of icing sugar to butter, 150 grams of icing sugar. I'm gonna sift it in, okay? Usually icing sugar can be quite lumpy. This packet's fairly new, so it's not actually that lumpy, but usually it can be quite lumpy, so it's very important to sift it in so you get a smooth mixture, okay? So the icing sugar gets sifted into our butter, okay? And then I'm gently just gonna use the mixer off, and I'm just going to mix it in ever so slightly, just so that it doesn't poof everywhere, okay? It will still poof a little bit, but we're just going to try and avoid that happening too much by mixing in ever so slightly a little bit to help it along the way. Okay, now put your mixer on slow and mix it until everything is nice and smooth. end up with a smooth buttercream. Oh, it is essentially just American buttercream at the moment. We are going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract to this now. Mix that in as well. So scrape down the sides of your bowl with a spatula. Got this soft cheese, cream cheese, any kind of cream cheese. You need 200 grams. So this container already weighs 200 grams. So I'm just going to add all of this straight in there. If you have a bigger container, then just weigh it in. Okay. Now it's important once you add the cream cheese in not to over mix it. You're literally just going to mix it in until it's combined, and then that is it done. And you have to make sure that your cream cheese is room temperature. Okay. Very, very important. If you over mix it now, after you've added in your cream cheese frosting will split. Okay, so don't over mix it. You just want to mix it until the cream cheese is combined into your frosting. So this is the texture that you're looking for in your cream cheese frosting. That is our cream cheese frosting ready. Okay, and it is stiff enough to be able to pipe. Okay, and you can stick that in the fridge while your cake is cooling down. So once your cake is completely cooled, okay, you can go ahead and add your cream cheese frosting to it, and I'm going to show you a method of how I do mine. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to section the cake into slices. Okay, so this helps when you're serving the cake as well, because I'm going to pipe my cream cheese frosting onto each separate slice, and then I'm going to add some chocolate shavings, white chocolate shavings, and also I'm going to add some strawberries to the top. So you can decorate it anyhow you like. Let's try and get some even slices. So it's an 8-inch, so you can get 4 this way and 4 this way. They're about 2 inches wide each, the slices, so that's 16 slices in total. Okay, so just mark them off first. I'm going to cut my slices. Actually, I've marked where I want each slice to be. I'm just going to actually cut the cake. So I have marked the cake like this into 16 portions. Then you want to get your cream cheese frosting, a piping bag and a piping tip. I'm going to use a 1M open star piping tip. Just cut off the tip enough to fit the nozzle in so that it's only half out. Okay, don't cut it too much. And then insert your nozzle into your piping bag. So your nozzle, the tip part should be out, but the rest of the nozzle should be inside. And you put your frosting into your piping bag. Squeeze it until it comes to the end. Then twist it. Hold your bag like this, so your thumb should be like that, and then your hand should be squeezing the top. And we're going to pipe like a kind of a zigzag onto each slice. Okay. It looks like this at the moment. Okay, I've got some strawberries here, 8 strawberries altogether, because I'm going to cut them in half. I'm going to wash them, so dry them on some tissue paper. You don't want to put them on there wet. Your strawberry, this is just an idea of how you can decorate it. Like I said, you can decorate yours however you want. Okay, you don't have to use this way. This is just how I'm doing it. And then you put 1 strawberry onto each slice. And I do mine at an angle, so it looks nice. This is what it looks like at the moment. The final touch which I'm going to do is add some shaved white chocolate. So the way you do that is you get your bar of white chocolate, get a sharp knife, okay, and then drag your knife with a lot of pressure across, okay, to make some chocolate curls. So you do that. That is your red velvet tray bake. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Bye.